to your station, Hugh. This is just getting established, some shots.
Okay, you're gonna walk into the frame a little faster. I was born in Israel and I was raised in Israel. My family moved a lot when I was a kid. By the age of 7, I already lived in almost 4 countries. When I was almost 13, just before my bar mitzvah, my uncle, my very dear, generous uncle, brought me a little camcorder, Sony Handycam, the little 8. It was called 8.
Can you roll camera? Action. I was born in Japan. It's a small city called Kanazawa. And I was raised there. In high school, I start going to movie theaters alone after school, and that's the time I start watching lots of movies.
I was born in Nigeria, and I was raised in Baltimore, Maryland. And growing up in Baltimore, it made me want to become a filmmaker because it wasn't an opportunity that was available to young black men.
Our mission statement is to facilitate the exploration of filmmaking through A, the networking of students and industry professionals, B, viewing and discussion of industry-respected films, and C, to gain additional knowledge.
I think the mission statement should really be very simple. It's an opportunity to network.
I've always been in awe with the city, and I always told myself if I wanted to go to school, I would want to go to school in New York. I really like the diverse the diverse student body, especially within the film department. I like the opportunity of being able to come here and be in an independent but at the same time experimental film studies program.
Before I came to New York, I was working in Tel Aviv in a TV channel. I was assistant editor. Actually, a week before I left, I got a message on my answering machine with a job offer to be an editor for a production company.
I really wanted to live in New York once in my life.
I think that you need to really plan something that you would never think you can do and then pull it out. I think you need to go a lot, aim so high that it looks irrational. And the most important thing I learned about is to get as many people as I can involved in it. If you're serious about your project, if you can transmit that passion that you have to the people that work with you, people will believe you. They will stay late hours. They will push and give everything they have, not to disappoint you. I do believe that if you make something important enough, it'll become their project too, in a way. And there's a reason why in the biggest films we see there's always this huge cast and crew credits at the end, because it's not an individual thing. It's not like painting a painting or building a sculpture. It's all about team.
And action.
I consider myself, what kind of genre I'm in, I think it's more social drama.
I'm not a hunter, but I'm told.
My first student film production is a film
in
entitled
places
Blood
like in the
Wolf.
Arctic, where indigenous people sometimes might hunt a wolf. They'll take a double-edged blade and they'll put blood on the blade and they'll melt the ice and stick the handle in the ice so that only the blade is protruding.
Wolves are hunted in the Arctic, and how the wolves are represented by young black men in the inner city who are basically out in the streets thinking that they're making something of their lives by selling drugs and they're gaining economic independence, but actually they're literally killing themselves and their community.
That's what the imperialists did to us with crack cocaine. You got these young brothers out there thinking that they're getting something that they're gonna make a living with. They're getting something.
It's about my vision.
Like the white people have cars, why can't I have a car?
So it's my platform to say what I need to say.
Action.
No, I despise them. Fish lips. You have thin, cold fish lips. You should cut them off.
Working on the set is very interesting. It's really fun to work with other people and just see something you planned ahead is just coming true. Like looking at that in front of your eyes, it's quite interesting. I think it's just being kind of persistent of what you want on the set and keep asking until I really get what I want. We can't just go and shoot something. It's not, I don't think it's that spontaneous, especially in this level of film production. So we have to plan something before we actually start shooting and watching the dailies. If something you planned is actually happening there, it's really nice thing to watch and sometimes it's much better than I planned. Or different, but better in a way. It's not like I want to say something now and that's the reason I chose filmmaking, but I think I was more interested in filmmaking and then start thinking what I want to say through that medium.
Growing up in Baltimore, you really wasn't that many African American filmmakers, and it's not really a town in which filmmaking is really embraced in that. But for some reason, seeing films made in the 90s and the late 80s, I decided that I definitely wanted to do cinema with my life, and that was a creative medium in which I choose. There's a lot of work to be done, and that there's a group of young, dynamic brothers and sisters out there that are definitely making headway as in terms of this change that needs to be done socially and globally. So the activism definitely let me see that I was more than just coming from a little small town of Baltimore, Maryland, but I was representing just the plight of a lot of black people. How do I feel that experience is gonna help my films? Wow, it's gonna definitely give me, it's gonna give me that edge that I need. It's gonna give me that edge and that fire, that passion I need to express my point, to get across that sole purpose. you know, because you know if you've ever been on the front lines of people picketing, or if you've ever had to boycott against something, there's fire, there's a passion, there's a lot of rage there. And I mean, if I can bottle that and I can just take that and put it towards the medium of film, wow, it's gonna leave a lot of statements, a lot of profound statements in my work. People from Russia and people from Chechnya and people from Serbia to be able to understand where I'm coming from, and being able to have students from those nations, it gives me a little bit of insight about them.
For a while, I didn't know. Last year was really weird and kind of threw me out. My head wasn't really in place. When I finished shooting, I was so happy. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that happened to me from this shoot, is that now I know for sure I want a $120 million production.
I don't think it's only directors' ability to make a film, but at the same time it could be very personal. It should be different every time I do it. Something represents myself, I think.